In this video, I am going to show you how to calculate z-scores. If you remember from the video clip that you just watched, z-scores just tells you where your specific score falls on in relationship to the mean scores of the class. Are you higher than the average, or your score lower than the average? And you're thinking about resilience, is your stress higher than the average score in the class, or is it lower? But this will help you understand where you fall on that continuum. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to add another tab. And we're going to call this one z-scores. Now let's go back to the data. And I've already have it highlighted, but highlight the resiliency total scores. And copy those. And bring them back to the z-score. Remember, when you're pasting, you don't want to do the first one because it brings over the formulas where it has the total scores of all the scales. So we want to make sure that we paste values only and bold the label. I'm going to type in the formula for z-scores. Z equals, I have a parentheses, is x minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. So what that means is x is this, the individual person's score, minus the average score of the whole group divided by the standard deviation. That will tell you, that formula gives you where you fall on the number line when it compares to the average score and the standard deviations. So let's start with here, typing in the mean, the standard deviation, x minus the mean, and a z-score. And I like those to be bold so I can see that they're labels. By now you probably remember how to find the mean. It's equals, type in the word average. As soon as the average pops up, double click and highlight the numbers, not the label this time, just the numbers. Make sure you get all of them. And then hit enter. And then I have my mean. I also want my standard deviation, so equals STDE, and I want the STDV, the S for sample. Yeah, I'm going to highlight those again. Enter. So one standard deviation is 14, so that would mean the mean plus 14 is one standard deviation above the mean. Now to get the x minus the mean, I want this minus this. And to do this in a way where I don't have to type it in each and every one of them, what I do is I equals, and I click on this one, which is the x, minus the mean, and then I have to push the number F4, the key F4, where you see then you have these dollar signs before the column and before the row. What that does, it locks in this mean, locks in this cell as I drag it down. So let me hit enter. I'll show you in a second what happens if I don't do that. So what I can now do is I can take this answer, the result, x minus mean, and I can drag this down. And I'll double click on one of these. You see here, it is mean minus this total. It gives me it locks in the mean, and it also takes this one into consideration no matter which one I go to. If I don't do, go back up here. If I don't do the F4, I'll show you what happens. Equals the mean minus, equals the score minus the mean. Now if I drag this down, I'm only going to drag it a little ways. I'm going to hit enter first. Now I'm going to drag it down, and you see what happens. Now it takes the total score and it goes with the cell right next to it. So it does, and there's nothing in that cell, so it gives us the same number all the way down. So because it didn't lock in the mean, it just, Excel reads the formulas straight across. Like, let me look at this one here. It's making a mess for us. So if I double click on this one, when you drag it, Excel says, oh, okay, so what she wants is A minus B, and then it's going to say, now it's going to have A minus B all the way down, but it's going to go straight across, and there's nothing in this cell. So we need to lock in the mean, or we have to insert the mean all the way down, which is a hassle. So it's easier just, I'm going to erase these numbers too. Easier just to go equals X minus the mean F4, enter. And like I said, then you can grab that and bring it all the way down. Now we have this X minus the mean. Then we have to divide it by the standard deviation. And so I'm going to do X minus mean divided by SD. Actually, that is the, let's say that is the z-score, sorry. So to find the z-score, I'll do the same thing again with the F4. This is equals this number, because this is the X minus the mean, so this divided by the standard deviation, F4, because I want to lock that cell in, enter. And I want to drag this all the way down to the bottom. Now we have our z-scores, and now we have all these numbers that look like there's too much messy data on here, so let's get rid of some decimal points. So highlight your data and go up to these little zeros up here, plus or minus, and we want to get rid of them until they have maybe 2 decimal points makes a difference. We can do that. So now we can look at each of these and see this person here is almost 2 standard deviations above the mean. This one here is almost 2 standard deviations below the mean. So they're almost statistically significant. Let's see. Some of these are just very close to the mean. I'm looking for, I thought we had one, no, because the resiliency scores aren't as high as the other ones. So anyway, most of you fall within that 1 standard deviation. A few actually land outside the standard deviation when it comes to the scores. But that is z-scores in a nutshell.